It's a forest of illusion. No illusions here, actually. But what if there was? Ooh, spooky. We don't even have spooky shit in this game. You're thinking of that Game Boy Advance game, which, by the way, I haven't decided what to do yet. But this is kind of my solution to doing Game Boy games within like a 4:3 ratio. Is to just play them in the Super Game Boy. Yeah. I'm wondering how I would do that with ROM hacks myself, because I'd want like unique background things for that too, as well as unique title screens. But I guess if you have the title screen in of itself, as long as you use a background that's not just one of the defaults packaged with the Super Game Boy 1/2, it should be fine. But there's not enough Super Game Boy things for me to even demonstrate, which is probably why people wouldn't have thought to use it in such a long while. It's just, I happen to be one of those people who had one. Well, the first one anyway. I'm not using the first one right now because it's using more of the Super Nintendo speed rate compared to the Game Boy speed rate, which causes Game Boy games to speed up, which is not what you want to happen. Also, there's kind of that Super Game Boy code that's used in Pokemon Stadium for the purposes of playing Pokemon Red and Blue on it, as well as the second one for Gold and Silver. I'm thinking Gold and Silver might have been one of the very last Game Boy games, considering they're also Game Boy Color games. So they were kind of both before it was just we had pure Game Boy Color games, which couldn't fit in a regular Game Boy or a Super Game Boy. Although, supposedly if you could get it to work that way, you know, if the thing actually physically fit, maybe it would come up with a background. I don't know. I didn't want to force it to try out. Is that like a spider thing? What am I looking at? It's an insect, right? With like parasite mushrooms. Is this a Patis? Patis. Welcome to Paris, Patis. Yes, thank you. Anytime. We've got elevation. Oh man, I do love my ability to throw keys up beyond the platforms in which I can actually get them. That includes platforms I can't jump through, in case you want to throw it up to where that umbrella was. Nowhere where you need to worry about. I kind of had there was kind of an expose on this, like, so I had Nintendo Power, and they had this thing on the Super Game Boy, or it was like the Super Game Boy, like, guide thing that only came with the Super Game Boy, and told me stuff about how this game worked, as well as some other stuff, like, say, Metroid 2, or other things. Probably Kirby, if I had to guess. There is a trick to bypass this whole scenario, but I want to play it legitly. It's not like it would take me long anyway. It's basically you place the ladder before the door has a chance to close and the level starts, and then you just bypass it like immediately. But this game's short enough as it is. Do I need to take shortcuts? I do not. Wonder if there's other Game Boy games I could do for purposes of playthrough. I'm sure there's some. We got our Castlevanias, we got our Mega Mans. There's plenty. We just have to look. I don't know if I'd do Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle though. I'm not sure if I want to do that. But then how would we know? The powers of the monkey compel us. Monkey by the pond. Aww. Oh, hey, we got some Donkey Kong Jr. gameplay mechanics. It's those little gators, you put the apples on them. I feel like this kind of rigging is the reason why we have ropes in Donkey Kong Country stuff. So that's something to think about. You go up faster if you're holding on to 2 ropes, and you go down faster if you're holding onto 1 rope. If you're holding on 1 rope, you go up slower, and if you're holding on 2 ropes, you go down slower. That is how it works. Congratulations. Where's they getting these things from anyway? And why does it look like they have, like, additional eyes on top of their heads? I don't know what I'm looking at on their head there. Oh boy. Throw the barrels, my good friend.
Or don't, it is your choice. Guess what? I can handstand if I need to. Behold.
What do I look like when I'm doing that? It looks pretty weird if you try to put it right side up. Best not to think about it too much. Best to think about it too much. Have you tried saving today? I am the saver of the souls. Next time I'm gonna go in this dip. Do a bit of a not so skinny dip.